We have with us Cedrik Neike, the person who's handling Asia and Australia businesses for Siemens AG, as well as the entire energy management solutions business. Thank you so much, Cedrik, for sparing time for CNBC TV18. You know, a lot of what we spoke today was around digital.
Yes.
Was about innovation in the digital space, was about how Internet of Things is taking over everything, the entire MindSphere project that you have. In all of this, where does India really stand?
So India has huge potential, let's call it this way, because India has 21% of all software engineers in the world, has the talent to be able to do it. India is doing the reforms to be able to drive into this IoT space. If you look at UID, the telecom capabilities which are being built out, really this leapfrog into 4G. If we now build up really sort of the electricity and the transport grids, you could really bring this vision which Modi has in 2025 and make in India forward by taking the industry which is 1.0, 2.0 to the 4.0 forward, because you have the IT competences, you have the capability to do the leapfrog going forward and really make this made in India 2025 real, because IoT enables really sort of small and medium producers to leapfrog in the right direction.
Well, talking on data, you were the one who's also worked on the entire geo network and the implementation there in India. Where do you think we stand as far as infrastructure is concerned, the digital data infrastructure is concerned? Is it really enough for us to take that leap into 4.0?
It's a fantastic start. If you look at, data being the new oil, that's the reality. And India has lots of data. If you look at the internet or mobile internet adoption, it's 4 times as big as all of the US in terms of pure sheer data which is produced, but it's in the consumer space. The exciting part of me coming to Siemens is that if we would extend this data also into the industrial space, into the energy space, into all of those spaces and connect it, then you really have something which is more than just a consumer leapfrog, if you want, but really an industrial leapfrog. So my take is that India, if it starts connecting everything it has and is willing to do the leapfrog, which we as Siemens want to support, India is the next giant in IoT going forward. At the moment, the projection is only 10% of the global IoT space will be in India. I would envision it to be even more if we're going and connecting everything which is out there in India.
So which would be the industries or which would be the segments or the sectors where you think this is going to make a huge difference?
I think actually it will touch every industry. I don't think that any industry will be sort of cut out from digitalization. And you've seen it. It goes from transport, really, you see the whole idea of what's doing to the transport sector, but it's going to go into agriculture, very important. It's going to go into manufacturing. Food and beverage is one of the industry we're focusing, for example, in India. It will go to the energy production, energy distribution. There's still this plan to connect a lot of the Indian population to reliable and green energy. You need to bring it also going digital. So back to your question, it's going to touch every industry. I think for India it's going to be mainly agriculture, industrial manufacturing and energy, and food and beverage, which will make the big difference.
How well do you see the government push as far as, creating this infrastructure and clearing up the hurdles that you spoke about right now?
As I said, the changes which have been done in India are absolutely the right one, making sure that the regulation, if you look at the changes in regulation in the energy sector, enabling really to go to green energy, we're fully supportive. If we look at what the plans are in terms of building up train connections and really thinking of train connection not only at transporting people but people and goods, I think the Indian government is moving at absolutely the right speed. It's very aggressive. And what I like about India, it's sometimes it tries something out, and if it doesn't work in the right way, it adapts and then continues. So it's a very flexible environment. So your question was, are you going in the right direction? Yes, you are. Would I love for this to be even more accelerated? Yes, I would. Let's
talk about the energy component. You also manage the energy bit for Siemens. Where does and what are the opportunities that India is throwing up as far as energy is concerned?
So we talk about the 3 Ds. We talked about decarbonization, we talk about decentralization, and we talk about digitalization. If you look at, for example, the decision India is taking to really massively invest in wind and solar, that's fantastic. It's actually going in the right direction in the technology types we built up. I mean, we merged with Siemens Gamesa, which was very strong in India, and therefore we're a big player in the wind market. So in terms of energy, there's an energy shift which is going to decarbonization, which is important. The second one is we see energy to be more and more decentralized. So some of our biggest projects we have in the smart grids to make the grid more efficient are actually also in India, and a lot of also the development and research is actually in this area. So that's the second thing which we see. In order to do this, and this is what we need to push even further, is we need to build this digital capabilities.
And just yesterday, I think we received a press release where you've put up a solar inverter plant, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So what is the kind of investment that's going into the new plant, and what is the kind of growth that you're anticipating and the expansion that you're anticipating?
So we already have 22 plants in India. We have 5,000 R&D engineers sitting in Bangalore, and this is just a continuation of our investment we have there. The idea is that we used to produce this inverter in Germany. We're now producing it in India for India because the Indian market in solar is growing so fast, and that's why we're moving the right sort of development also closer to where the customers are, and that's the reason why we invested in the inverter technology in India for India.
Okay, well, a straightforward question. What is the kind of growth that you're anticipating the Indian business to throw up for Siemens, let's say in the next 3 to 4 years time frame?
So we have had double-digit growth because you're asking for the last couple of years, and we want to maintain. We have a plan on maintaining this, and this is our ambition level, because let's take the numbers out of the way at the moment. I want to talk about India on its own. I think it's one of the most prominent and fastest growing regions, not countries, regions, which we can see at the moment in the Siemens portfolio, and we want to participate as we have participated for the last 100 years.
All right, Cedrik, on that note, thank you so much for sparing time for CNBC TV18. It was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.